The normal period of life existence for a cell is called interphase. It actually is between phases. And I'm going to kind of give a real basic look at this. I'm not going to talk about all the specific steps of interphase, and like your textbook may or may not talk about it, but we're going to kind of keep it simple here. Anyhow, in the cell, there are centrioles. We're going to identify those. And then I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the nucleus a little bit larger. Let's do it like that where we can see a little bit better. And I'm going to put some DNA in here. And I'm going to put some red and some blue DNA just so that we can kind of track this whole situation as we go from start to finish. There is what's called a nucleolus in the nucleus. That is what helps regulate RNA production. Doesn't really have a whole lot to do with this process, so I'm not going to mention that or include it in any one of the other drawings. But in the first phase of mitosis, we have a process called prophase. And in prophase, what is happening, class, is that the centrioles they start moving from one side of the cell to the other. The nuclear membrane really starts breaking down, and now instead of having diffuse DNA called chromatin, we have it in little short stubby features called chromosomes. So I'm going to draw a big blue and a little blue, and I'm going to draw a big red and a little red so that you'll be able to track what happens from beginning to end. Listen to this. In humans, there are 46 chromosomes. I'm only going to show about 4 because trying to draw 46 is a lot. In the next phase, called middle or metaphase, in this phase, what happens is that the centrioles have moved to opposite sides of the cell by this time. And what happens is that the chromosomes line up in the middle of the cell in single file, kind of like this. I got a big blue, a big red, and I got a little blue, and I have a little red. They are suspended by spindle fibers. I didn't want to make that blue, I wanted to make it black. They're suspended by spindle fibers that radiate from the centrioles. There's kind of a little star or flower appearance. These are called asters sometimes. So middle means meta. Meta means middle. These are actually attached to little parts on the either side of the chromosome called kinetochore. Just like I said, I'm trying to kind of give you a basic look at this. In the next phase, called anaphase, the centrioles begin contracting, and something peculiar happens now. The chromosomes split apart. The big blue splits in half, and the baby blue splits in half. The big red splits in half, and the baby red splits in half, just like that. And so the very final phase of mitosis is called telophase. And telo just means distance, like television, viewing something through a distance. In this phase, the nuclear membranes begin reappearing. The centrioles they migrate, they just stay on their side. There's really not, correction. Centrioles stay right where they are. Each new potential daughter cell now has a big blue and a baby blue. Both of them do. And both of them have a big red and a little red. And then from this, we get 2 daughter cells. And notice that both daughter cells have the full count of the original chromosomes. I'm tracking 4, so notice that each new cell, each new daughter cell has 4 entities. Now what's a little bit confusing about this is you think, well, it's half of something. It's not the whole thing. Well, what happens, class, is that both of these will then go through interphase. Both of them will go. They'll start moving through that phase, and watch closely what happens. They will then bud out the other telomeres that they are missing, and they will gain the full chromosome count. They will gain the full chromosome count. This mitosis that I'm talking about is what happens with skin, hair, nails, gut, bone. Doesn't really happen so much in nerve, and blood doesn't have the nucleus. So it's a little bit more complicated. But this is mitosis, and this is normally how your body cells are reproduced. When you're a little baby, they reproduce a bunch of times, 128 times. By the time there's an old dude like me, they're down to reproducing 60 to 80 times. And so that's also part of the aging process. I've heard some people say that every time cell division occurs, that the chromosomes shorten. Also has something to do with time marked away against cells. So, mitosis is how your body replenishes itself. Yes, you are like the Wolverine. You do heal and you do replenish. It's just a little bit slower than Hugh Jackman in Wolverine. It's not, right in front of your eyes usually. It takes a little bit longer. Thank you.